So I've been searching for a house for some of my clients for quite some time now, actually. If you know anything about the housing market right now, that it is absolutely insane. The lines are like literally around the block. I'm kind of over it, to be honest. The most recent house that I found for my client that they were super interested in, we decided to place, I would say, aggressive offer on it. We toured the house maybe about 15-20 minutes. I made a good relationship with the listing agent. I feel like we vibed, we got along, we bonded, and I told her, I'll be submitting an offer tonight right away, and look forward to hearing from her. Now, the house was listed around $500,000, which is kind of, unfortunately, I would say somewhat average for this part of New York. Now, the trick here is you don't want to submit an offer that's too low, because obviously you want the house and you don't want to lose. You want to be competitive. But you also don't want to submit an offer that's too high, because you don't want to overspend, and you also want the house to appraise and the bank not come in and say, hey, it's not worth that amount, and now you're in an even stickier situation than before. We discussed it for a bit, and then we decide on an offer of $580,000. Now remember, the house is listed and they're asking $500,000, so we're gonna go $80,000 above what they're asking. I submit the offer that same day, that same Friday. Saturday comes by, no response. I decide to reach out, as the agent should, and say, hey, just checking in to make sure that you received my offer. No response. Sunday comes by, I'm like, hey, you know what, it's Sunday, we'll give them some time. Even though most real estate agents tend to work on Sunday. Monday rolls around, still no response. I reach out again, because in my mind, I'm thinking $80,000 above asking. I mean, I deserve an answer. I need to know when we're gonna go to inspection. When are we gonna go under contract? So I reach out to the agent, I send the email follow-up, and real nice, I just said, hey, just checking in. I wanted to know if you received my offer, or if you have any questions, please reach out. Thank you. The agent responded shortly after, less than 5 minutes, and it said, hey Jalil, yes, we did receive your offer. We were just waiting for your highest and best. Meaning that the $80,000 above asking offer isn't cutting it. And I bring this up because this is actually pretty common in the market right now. This is not out the ordinary at all.
Right now, it's a seller's market with prices through the roof across the country.
Typical home values in Metro Nashville jumped more than 30%.
Far fewer houses on the market these days.
The median sales price now more than $350,000, a record high. And homes are selling fast, 17 days on average.
The market is in a pretty strange place right now, and I want to discuss with you why the market is the way it is, so that you can have an idea of where we're going toward in the future. But before we can decide where we're going to go into the future, we have to discuss how we actually got here and why the market is actually the way it is right now. So in this video, I'm going to go over with you why the market currently is the way it is and what we can expect in the near future. So just sit back and enjoy. Because YouTube demotes you for using this word, moving forward for the remainder of the video, I'm going to refer to the events that happened 2 years ago as the panini. Now, once the panini hit, the world that we once knew completely changed forever. People stayed at home, companies fully closed down, and we stocked up on toilet paper like there was no tomorrow. And as far as real estate goes, real estate was completely dead. As an agent myself, I couldn't even complete any transactions. I was literally told that I cannot go to work, simply because at the time we didn't know what was going on. We wanted to be safe as possible, so real estate agents weren't able to perform certain duties, at least in the state of New York. And during this time, nobody was buying or selling homes, right? Buyers were reluctant to spend any money whatsoever out of fear of what would happen in the future. They didn't know what was going to happen tomorrow, the next day, the next week, or month, or year. So they wanted to keep as much cash on hand just in case, for whatever reason. And sellers, they simply didn't want any strangers walking through their house with the panini in full effect. Nobody was trying to turn into a zombie when they had no information of what the world would be in the next upcoming days. Eventually though, like all things that happen in all past events, we kind of, go back to somewhat of a normal life, and we kind of agree that, it is what it is, but we'll make it through it. Now everybody's ready to buy and sell again, but the difference is the playing field has drastically changed. See, because the panini affected quite a lot of things. As I mentioned before, companies closed down, and ones that did remain open decided that it was more suitable for their employees to stay at home and work than it would be for them to come into an office, a physical location, and work in a cubicle next to hundreds of other employees. Now there's a group of people who once lived in city-like areas in major apartment buildings with hundreds of other people, only living there for the sole convenience of being close to work. they no longer had those restrictions. Now they're looking for a place to live as well. I personally knew clients myself that were spending $5,000 to $8,000 a month to live in Manhattan because it was close to work, now coming to Long Island, New York to shop for a home. And these same clients are competing with my first-time home buyers who necessarily don't have that $5,000 to $8,000 a month budget. That's number one right there, increase in demand. We also have a few other things I'm going to go over real quickly that got us to the point that we are in right now. See, when the panini hit, the economy took a tank. And because of that, the feds, like they're my friends, the feds decided that, you know, we're going to lower interest rates, we're going to print money, and we're going to provide you, the general public, with stimulus checks to help boost the economy. Those three things also affected the current housing market, right? So now the stimulus checks are coming out, people are getting $1,200, $1,500, $2,000, unemployment checks are flowing through, and these people have an influx of money that they didn't have before, money that they can use as a down payment on a new house. They also lowered the interest rates, so now it's as cheap as ever to buy a house. So let's recap. What do we have so far that caused an increase in demand? Well, we already had, prior to the panini, a number of buyers that wanted to buy a home, period, right? They was already shopping. So we have this pool of buyers over here that they were shopping for a home. Nothing's really changed. Now the panini hits, and then there's also a group of buyers who no longer have to live in their city-like neighborhoods who also want to buy a home. They join that same pool. And then you have a group of buyers who receive stimulus money or other income from the government that can now afford to put as a down payment on a home. They join that pool as well. Then you have the lower interest rates. So now you have investors taking advantage of the opportunities because money is so cheap right now. They want to get more investment properties, more properties, period, under their belt. And they're going to take advantage of these cheap rates. Original buyers, new buyers working from home, new buyers with stimulus money, more investors coming into the playing field. Demand is just going up and up and up. We haven't discussed supply yet as well. Supply was already low to begin with prior to 2020, but now it's a bit worse. Because of the panini, we have some chain supply issues. So products such as lumber, which is used to build homes, was a lot more difficult to get.
The price of lumber has been on a roller coaster since
lumber has never been more expensive.
That, of course,
2x4s are more than 3
building
times.
a new home as well as remodeling an older home. The National Association of Home Builders recently estimated that the latest price jump added more than $18,600 to the price of a newly built home.
And because it was more difficult to get, it became more expensive. And because it's more expensive to build these homes, now the developers have to charge more money to the buyers of these homes. So not only do we have a lack of supply, but we have an increase in price because that supply is so hard to get. Now, as this pool of buyers continue to grow and the supply continues to shrink, we have price increases just going straight through the roof. Now, while all this demand is just steadily increasing, we have no increase in supply. In fact, supply is actually at a standstill. It's not going anywhere because things that we use to build homes, such as lumber, is more difficult to get due to the panini, and the price of lumber has increased, causing it being more expensive to build homes. Now, because it's more expensive to build homes, those developers are going to charge the buyers of those homes more money. Right now, when you look at the scale, demand is super high, but the supply is very low. So the question now is, what's next? Where do we go? Like, I mean, hey, we seen what happened with 2008. There has to be a crash, right? I don't think so, right? I mean, there's no reason, especially with demand is so high, for there to be any type of crash. There's a part of fear in 2008 that, you know, drove the market to continue to go down, which is kind of the exact opposite now. And even with rising interest rates, the demand is still as high as ever. Unfortunately, I don't see this problem getting any better anytime soon. Supply is still as low as ever, and builders can't build homes fast enough to meet this high demand. Bidding wars are still going on, right? So I mean, like, just take a look at some of these responses that I've received in the last couple weeks when all these offers were above asking. And the truth of the matter is, as long as the buyers continue to bid up these homes, prices will continue to increase because the market is going to think it's supported. Buyers are going to continue to buy simply because they want piece of the action. They've seen what happened in the last crash and they don't want to miss the boat. Not to mention, some buyers simply just want a home. They simply do not want to live in the same lifestyle that they lived before, prior to the panini. Now, this may not be what you wanted to hear, that the market is going to continue to go higher, but the truth of the matter is, you don't want to overspend due to FOMO. You don't want to spend more money than you have simply just for the sake of getting in the game, so to speak. You don't want to spend more money without worrying about the other expenses that come along with it, not just the mortgage. You know, for example, any utilities, repairs, lawyer fees, tenant fees that you have to take care of, and not just be buying just to say that you have a house. Now, on the bright side though, I do think there will be some sort of correction. It may not look like what you think, but I do think it will stabilize, so to speak, because eventually the market will reach a point where buyers simply just can't afford it. They just can't. Interest rates going up and prices of the homes going up won't be sustainable for the average home buyer. That may cause a slight increase in supply. The only issue is how will demand react. As of now, the streets are hungry. Everyone wants a home, at least if they can afford it, and they're going to buy it, especially with rent prices continuing to go up, which is another conversation. So that's my thoughts on the housing market right now in a nutshell, and let me know what you think. Do you think home prices will continue to increase? Do you think there'll be a market crash coming anytime soon? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video. Peace.